Hello everyone. Today we're going to walk straight into a nightmare. And not just any nightmare, but one made of circuits, countdowns, and choices no one wants to make. Imagine, it's morning, your phone buzzes with news, but nothing prepares you for this. You've just been sworn in as President of the United States. Your coffee's still warm. The Oval Office still smells like polished oak. And then, chaos. You are told nuclear missiles are in the air, and you have minutes to retaliate or accept extinction. 112 bright bursts across enemy territory. Those are ICBMs, giant spacefaring death machines lobbing back down to Earth with multiple warheads designed to flatten cities and incinerate silos. The satellites caught them just after launch. The radar's blinking like a pinball machine. You're asked to authorize the counterattack. Now. Every second counts. The twist? This is your first day on the job, and no one can make the call but you. If you were handed a button that could destroy the world, or save it, depending on who you ask, what would you do? The chair beneath you is more like an electric seat. "We have 5 subs at sea," someone says. "They'll survive. That's our second strike." Their tone is strangely calm, which somehow makes it worse. Around you, aides rush, eyes wide with panic held just below the surface. The silos can't wait. They'll be gone in 5 minutes. The missiles inbound might already be on top of them. And those 400 missiles represent not just machines, but millions of deaths. Do you fire back immediately? Wait? What if this is a drill? A mistake, a rogue alert? The last thing you ever want to do is start a war that ends everything. But if you hesitate, there may not be a country left to defend. Would you rather launch too soon, or wait and risk having nothing left to launch? You hear more numbers: 46 bombers on alert, capable of launching in 2 minutes. Their chances of survival shrink every second. These are the details of nuclear war. Not grand armies clashing, but spreadsheets, burn rates, and probabilities of vaporization. One advisor reminds you, "We can't defend the cities. Missile defense isn't like a superhero movie. It's mostly guesswork. We hope to intercept 50 targets out of 4,000. And then, interference. A sudden radar blackout. High-altitude airbursts, someone mutters. The enemy anticipated the intercepts. They detonated some warheads in space. The ionized atmosphere now blinds radars and jams communications. Anti-ballistic missiles are flying blind. A 55% success rate becomes fiction under these circumstances. Is it even ethical to trust machines at this point? Your mind flashes to the people: children in school buses, parents at work, people caught in traffic. What are they feeling? Do they know what's coming? And how long before the panic turns to ash? "Sir," someone repeats, louder now, "we need an answer." The codes are in your hand. The keys are 2 steps away. But you're still a person. And people hesitate. What kind of person wouldn't? The nuclear war plan is comprehensive, cold, calculated. It assumes parity of pain. They hit us, we hit back. Mutually assured destruction, the doctrine goes. But no doctrine can breathe. No doctrine feels terror. You do. You have to. The dead haven't happened yet, but the ghosts are already whispering in your ears. A message pops up from the Pentagon. There are now 600 confirmed re-entry vehicles incoming. Each carries a city's worth of death. Each is surrounded by decoys mocking your last-ditch defenses. You're told to expect millions today. By the end of the month? Dozens of millions. Maybe more, depending on weather patterns. Nuclear war isn't just a moment. It's an era of fallout, starvation, and sickness. Is this deterrence, or just ritualized suicide? The final twist: you have only seconds left. You're the decider, the monster or the martyr, depending who survives to tell the story. No answers, just outcomes. The button waits. Could you live with not pressing it, knowing you might die because you didn't? Or worse, could you live with pressing it and knowing what that means? The lights flicker. The warning sirens blare. The countdown is real. So, can we launch? There are still people arguing about the Cuban Missile Crisis, not about whether it almost ended the world, but about how close we came. Some say it was a misunderstanding. Others insist we were one submarine away from full nuclear annihilation. History isn't a dusty museum here. It's a live grenade passed from one generation to the next. And every time you hear about a false alarm or a near miss, you realize we've danced on the edge of extinction more often than we dare admit. Let's rewind. 1979. A sleepy technician inserts the wrong tape into a NORAD computer. Suddenly, America sees a full-scale Soviet nuclear attack. Missiles light up across every screen. Red phones ring. Air Force bombers scramble into the sky. Except, nothing is happening. No launches. No satellites confirming it. Just a tape-labeled training scenario. How many lives came down to someone noticing the label? Then, 1983. A Soviet early warning officer named Stanislav Petrov is monitoring satellites when alarms blare. 5 American ICBMs are on their way. His screen says launch. Protocol says retaliate. But Petrov hesitates. Why only 5? That doesn't match American strategy. He calls it a false alarm. He's right. It was sunlight bouncing off high-altitude clouds. But what if Petrov had been replaced that day? Fast forward again, 1995. Norway launches a scientific rocket to study the northern lights. Russia mistakes it for a submarine-launched missile. Their nuclear systems go to full alert. The briefcase, the codes, the chain of command, all are active. President Yeltsin opens the nuclear football. For the first time in history, a Russian leader activates his launch authorization system. They're seconds from ordering a strike when someone realizes it's just a research rocket. What if they'd been a minute slower? These aren't plot twists in a movie. These are archival facts. Real people in real rooms nearly started a war that would have ended the world, not through malice, but mistake. Cold logic and paranoia dance on the same line. Even in moments of total professionalism, all it takes is a broken sensor, a misread signal, or a cable plugged into the wrong port. What happens when every second feels like it must be the last? And still, the bombs sit, quiet, ready. In silos, in submarines, on mobile trucks, under tarps in forests. The entire system is built on speed. 5-minute decision windows. 7-minute flight times. Even presidents don't get more than a rushed briefing before choosing Armageddon or nothing. There is no debate, no emergency Congress session, no press conference. There is only the briefcase and the button. Is it comforting or horrifying that the system is designed to work exactly as intended? Famous names litter this story. Vasily Arkhipov, the Soviet naval officer who refused to authorize a nuclear torpedo during the Cuban Missile Crisis. He was outvoted 2-1, but his veto saved the world. He's called the man who saved the world. But what if he had a fever that day? What if he'd panicked like any reasonable human? What happens when humanity depends on someone being unreasonably calm? Even small nations now flirt with this power. Pakistan and India have had over a dozen military standoffs since they both developed nuclear weapons. In one case, Ibomase, a misidentified weather balloon, was nearly treated as a missile. And let's not forget North Korea, which sometimes launches tests without warning, making satellite analysts wonder if it's theater or threat. One day, those analysts might guess wrong. And now, a new twist. Artificial intelligence is being integrated into early warning systems. Faster reaction, better data, fewer human delays. But if the machines can decide faster, can they understand better? An algorithm doesn't weigh morality. It doesn't ask, what if this is a glitch? It just reacts. Would you trust your survival to a machine? In recent years, documents have revealed how close NATO came to being confused by Soviet exercises, and how military officials feared the other side would interpret realism as preparation. One country simulates a strike, and the other thinks it's real. But they both claim to be just training. When everything looks like war, how do you tell when it's not? In many war games, the pattern is clear. Even if a strike is launched by mistake, both sides feel pressure to respond, just in case the other thinks it's real. This isn't insanity. It's rational madness. Once missiles are in the air, logic bends to terror. Any hesitation might seem weak. Any inaction could mean national suicide. So instead, everyone prepares to fire first. Today, that culture still dominates strategic planning. Prompt retaliation is etched into military doctrine. Politicians rarely question it. In fact, in most nuclear nations, a single leader can authorize global destruction in minutes. There's no automatic override. The safeguards are paper-thin. Are you surprised that the system still runs like this in 2025? In every near miss, the lucky outcome depended on a person, a name we now remember. But systems built on luck eventually run out. You only get so many Petrovs, Arkipovs, or Yeltsins making the right call at the right time. What happens when the next name doesn't make the right decision? If you ever find yourself thinking, surely we've evolved past this, consider this. The world's nuclear arsenal is being modernized, not dismantled. Nations are building sleeker bombs, faster missiles, better guidance, and even hypersonic delivery systems that reduce warning times to under 5 minutes. That's less time than it takes to make a cup of coffee. And with more precision comes more temptation. The logic goes like this. If a missile can land within meters of its target, maybe we can strike first and eliminate their ability to respond. If our submarines are quieter, our command systems faster, then perhaps we can make nuclear war winnable. That idea, when once considered madness, is creeping back into strategic doctrine. Have we learned anything, or just rebranded fear as innovation? The US, Russia, and China are all investing heavily in new nuclear systems. China is expanding its silo fields, deploying mobile launchers, and modernizing its second strike capabilities. For decades, their doctrine focused on minimum deterrence. That's changing. Their arsenal could triple in the next decade. What happens when 3 nuclear superpowers can destroy the world, not just 2? Meanwhile, treaties that once limited arms races are falling apart. The INF Treaty? Gone. The New START Treaty? On life support. Arms control is no longer fashionable. Nationalism is. And every country seems to think it needs more, not less, because if the others are arming, why should they fall behind? But what if the only way to win is to not play at all? It's easy to think nuclear war is a relic of the past, something Cold War movies dramatized. But the systems are real. The weapons are maintained, upgraded, and ready. Most of them are even on hair-trigger alert, meaning they can be launched in minutes. Mistakes today would move just as fast as mistakes in 1983. Are we really so confident we'd do better? You may not be able to disarm a warhead yourself, but you're not powerless. In fact, one of the most powerful things you can do is refuse to forget. Refuse to be lulled by the silence of the last few decades. Because silence isn't safety, it's delay. Progress, too, isn't guaranteed. It's built. And sometimes that building begins with awareness. Can change start with a conversation? During the Cold War, the world had over 70,000 nuclear weapons. Now it's down to about 12,500. That's not luck. It's negotiation, protest, treaties, diplomacy, and public pressure. Movements like anti-nuclear campaigns, citizen lobbying, and whistleblowers all helped push leaders to the table. Progress is possible, but only if we care enough to fight for it. And it's not just governments. Entire regions have banned nuclear weapons through international treaties. Latin America, Africa, Southeast Asia. Nations that refuse to host or develop these weapons are helping rewrite the rules of global security. And now, more than ever, global civil society is demanding transparency and disarmament. Could your voice become one of them? Even in nuclear states, people have spoken up. Scientists have resigned. Soldiers have refused unsafe orders. Politicians have pushed for no first-use policies. One bomb at a time, the world gets closer to sanity. But like anything worth doing, it takes effort. It takes constant noise. Because if silence is the status quo, then so is risk. The newest generation of voters, those raised after the Cold War, often don't realize how close we've come to nuclear war. It's not taught in most schools. It doesn't trend on TikTok. But it matters. Because one miscommunication, one impulsive leader, one broken radar could change everything. And you wouldn't get a second chance. What's the point of building a future if we don't protect it? If we're serious about space travel, climate change, or curing diseases, none of that survives a nuclear war. The machines we've built to explore the star would melt. The oceans would darken. Crops would fail. A nuclear winter isn't science fiction. It's the next chapter after retaliation. Do we want to read that chapter, or erase it before it's written? The next time someone says, "Nuclear weapons keep the peace," ask, for how long? Because every system breaks. Every safeguard fails. Every empire fades. But history only needs one mistake. Just one launch, one button, one moment of pressure on one person's shoulders. Like that fictional president on their first day, we might not know what hit us until it's too late. So yes, this story is fiction. But everything in it is based on reality. The weapons are real. The protocols are real. The risks are real. What's not real yet is the solution. But it could be. Let's take a deep breath. Step back. Let the tension unwind. You've just walked through a harrowing simulation of nuclear war. From the trembling hands of a new president to the hidden corners of Cold War history and today's modern arms race. What starts as a terrifying choice in a high-tech bunker unfolds into a broader truth. This isn't just fiction, it's a mirror. And it's showing us what we've built, what we've narrowly avoided, and what we still risk every single day. The story has taken us through real events, like Stanislav Petrov saving the world with a single pause, or Vasily Arkhipov vetoing apocalypse from a Soviet submarine. It's shown us that these near misses weren't once-in-a-century miracles. They happened more often than we are taught. And next time, we might not get so lucky. And yet, the story isn't hopeless. Because while missiles and launch codes seem distant, the power to change the narrative begins much closer to home. The world once held over 70,000 nuclear weapons. Now we have fewer than 13,000. That didn't happen by accident. It happened because people demanded it, protested, negotiated, voted. We face a crossroads. The technology is advancing, the risks accelerating. But so too is the awareness, the movement, the global push toward a future without nuclear fear. And you? You're part of that future. Your voice matters. Your curiosity matters. And this is where it all begins. By understanding the stakes, questioning the systems, and realizing that the most powerful tool we have against extinction is not a missile, it's a conversation. You've just had one. Now go start another.